The glass walls of Castellano Ventures reflected the Manhattan night sky like a mirror made of light, ambition and pride. At the center of it all was Diana Castellano, the woman who had built an empire out of sleepless nights, cold numbers, and an unshakable belief that she could not lose. But tonight, everything she believed in was falling apart. It all began with a small red warning flashing on the screen, then another and another. Within seconds, every monitor in the office was flooded with error messages. Data breached, accounts erased, financial losses climbing with every heartbeat. The system was collapsing from the inside, right before her eyes. The empire she had spent 15 years building was burning silently. Diana slammed her fist on the mahogany. Desk, no. Impossible. Her breathing came fast, tangled between fear and fury. The merger deal worth $12 billion, set to be signed at dawn, was now nothing but a shattered dream. Each passing minute drained millions of dollars from the system, along with her pride. Outside, the city still glowed. Skyscrapers soared. Streets sparkled. Life went on, indifferent to one woman's despair. Manhattan never stopped. It simply watched quietly as those who once thought themselves invincible began to fall. Diana had sent the tech team home hours ago. She couldn't bear another terrified look. She just wanted silence, to be alone with the ashes of the empire she'd built. But then a small sound broke the stillness. Footsteps, slow, steady, then the soft squeak of a wheel rolling across the floor. She looked up. A man in a blue janitor uniform was pushing a cleaning cart down the hallway. He stopped at the glass door of her office, startled to find her still there. His light brown hair was slightly tousled. His dark eyes met hers, calm, steady, neither curious nor afraid. Only a strange kind of quiet. Diana forced a bitter smile. "Don't worry, you didn't break anything. I'm just sitting here watching 15 years of my life turn to ashes." He hesitated, then tapped lightly on the glass door. "Are you okay?" His voice was low and warm, carrying a hint of Brooklyn in its tone that made the question sound genuinely kind. "Okay," Diana let out a dry laugh. "You tell me? My company just died right in front of me." His eyes flicked over the screen, still flashing red. "That's a cyberattack," he said calmly. Diana froze. "What did you say?" He nodded slightly. "I used to work in cybersecurity before life sent me elsewhere." He paused for a second, then added, "May I take a look?" Diana blinked. The man pushing her cleaning cart had just offered to handle a crisis that her senior engineering team had failed to solve. She almost laughed, but there was no arrogance in his eyes, only the quiet certainty of someone who had fought chaos before. She silently stepped aside. "Go ahead," he sat down. His fingers began flying over the keyboard, fast, precise, practiced as if he had never left that world. The light caught the name tag on his chest. Diana watched in stunned silence as Leo navigated through layers of code and security. Protocols she didn't recognize. He spoke in a low murmur, not to her, but to the machine, a conversation of command and response. He traced the attack to a sophisticated worm, a self-replicating piece of malice that had burrowed deep into their financial servers, masquerading as legitimate data packets. "They're not just deleting, they're siphoning," Leo said, his voice flat. "The money isn't being erased. It's being rerouted through a series of ghost accounts in offshore banks." He identified the digital signature, a calling card left arrogantly by a hacker collective known as the Silent Auction. Diana had heard of them. They were digital legends, thieves who only targeted the giants, making fortunes disappear without a trace. Her team had been looking for a breach, a broken wall. Leo found a ghost in the foundation. He worked with a focused intensity, deploying countermeasures, building a digital dam to stop the financial hemorrhage. The scrolling errors slowed, then ceased. The screen stabilized from flashing red to a steady, calm blue. The silent bleeding stopped. Leo leaned back, the chair creaking. "The immediate transfer loop is broken. The data is corrupted in places, but the core financial records, I think I saved about 70%. You'll have a forensic trail now. The loss is maybe a few $100 million, not several billion." Diana stood frozen, the magnitude of what just happened crashing over her. This man, a janitor, had just salvaged her company in 30 minutes. "Who are you?" She breathed, the question loaded with awe and disbelief. Leo stood up, his demeanor shifting back to that of the quiet night cleaner. Leo Garza, he said, glancing at his name tag. Used to be head of cybersecurity for Fortis Shield. I left that life a few years back. Needed less noise. He started to push his cart towards the door. Wait, Diana commanded, the CEO in her voice returning. Why are you here? Cleaning offices. He paused, a shadow passing over his calm features. Fortis Shield was compromised from within during a hostile takeover. I was the scapegoat. Lost my license, my reputation. Cleaning is honest work. It pays the bills. I don't miss the wars. Diana looked from him to the save screens. The empire he had just pulled back from the brink. The merger was still in jeopardy. The company was wounded, but it was alive because of him. She made a decision in that instant. A gut instinct that had built her empire. I need you. Leo, not as a janitor. I need you as my head of security. Effective immediately. Triple whatever you were making at Fortis Shield. I'll clear your name. Get your license reinstated. Help me find who did this and secure my company. Leo studied her, his dark eyes weighing her offer against the peace he'd found in anonymity. The city outside glittered, a battlefield of ambition. You're asking me to go back to the noise, he said quietly. I'm offering you a chance to rewrite your ending, Diana countered, and to make sure the people who did this to you and to me don't win. They watched the silent auction of their own fates in that glass office. Finally, Leo gave a slow nod. All right, Ms. Castellano, but we do it my way. No corporate politics. We follow the code, not the rules. Deal, Diana said, extending her hand. He shook it, his grip firm and steady. For the rest of the night they worked. Leo, now in his element, laid out a plan. The silent auction always leaves a final bid, a taunt. He found it buried in a log file, a single line. The crown is sold. It was a direct challenge. The merger, he explained, wasn't the target. It was the distraction. The real play was to hollow out Castellano Ventures, buy its devalued assets through shell companies after the collapse, and absorb its technology. This was corporate warfare, digital and ruthless. By dawn, as the first light touched the glass walls, they had a strategy. Diana would publicly announce a minor, containable systems glitch, downplaying the crisis to keep the vultures at bay. Leo would work from the shadows, building an impregnable new system while secretly hunting the silent auction. He called in a few favors from his old life, connecting with trusted allies in the digital underworld. As the sun rose, turning the skyline to gold, Diana looked at Leo, who was now drinking coffee from a chipped mug, studying a line of code. The janitor's uniform was gone, replaced by a sharp focus that transformed him. Thank you, Leo, she said, the words feeling inadequate. You didn't just save my company. You gave me a fighting chance. Leo met her gaze. Don't thank me yet. They know they failed. They'll come again, harder. But next time we'll be ready. The following weeks were a silent revolution within Castellano Ventures. Leo worked with a small hand-picked team, operating from a secure, unmarked server room. He rebuilt the company's digital infrastructure from the ground up. They'll come again, harder, but next time we'll be ready. The following weeks were a silent revolution within Castellano Ventures. Leo worked with a small hand-picked team, operating from a secure, unmarked server room. He rebuilt the company's digital infrastructure from the ground up, creating a labyrinth only he could navigate. Diana, meanwhile, fought the public battle, salvaging the merger with sheer force of will and the narrative of a minor technical issue. Trust was fragile, but it held. One late night, Leo came to her office, his expression grim. I found the leak, he said. It wasn't just an external hack. They had inside help. Someone planted the initial seed months ago. The data pointed to someone high up, someone with access to the core servers. Diana's blood ran cold. Betrayal from within was a poison she hadn't anticipated. Together they set a trap. Leo created a false file, a blueprint for a revolutionary new AI finance platform, and placed it in the secured server, accessible only to a handful of executives. They watched. 2 nights later, the digital bait was taken. The trace led not to a faceless hacker in a foreign country, but to the personal laptop of Ethan Croft, Diana's own chief financial officer. the man she had trusted with her company's financial soul. The confrontation was quiet, held in Diana's office after hours. When presented with the evidence, Ethan's arrogance crumbled into desperate justification. "They offered me a fortune," he stammered. "The silent auction. They said no one would get hurt. It was just business." Leo stepped forward, his voice like ice. "You sold out your own team for money. You helped burn down what people spent years building. That's not business. That's cowardice." Security escorted Ethan out. The police were called. The news would break in the morning, but this time, Castellano Ventures would be the story of resilience, of catching the traitor, not of collapse. In the ensuing quiet, Diana and Leo stood on her terrace, overlooking the city that had watched her near fall. The empire was wounded, but it was secure and stronger for the battle. "You rebuilt more than my servers, Leo," Diana said. "You helped me see the cracks in my own walls. I was so proud, I thought I was untouchable." Leo smiled, a rare, genuine expression that softened his features. The strongest fortresses always are until they're not. The key isn't to be impenetrable. It's to have someone who knows how to rebuild the gates. She offered him the formal position again, with a stake in the company. He accepted on one condition: he would still do a nightly walkthrough of the offices. "I like the quiet," he explained. "It helps me think, and sometimes the best solutions come when everyone else has gone home." Diana understood. From that night on, the legend of Castellano Ventures changed. It was no longer just the story of Diana's relentless ambition, but of the silent guardian who worked in the shadows, the man who had stepped out of the darkness, with a cart and a keyboard, and saved a kingdom. And in the reflection of the glass walls, as Manhattan continued its endless dance of light and ambition, two people who had faced the abyss stood watch, one in the spotlight, one in the quiet. Their partnership an unbreakable code, written in the aftermath of silent ashes. Thank you for reading this story on kindness and unexpected heroes. If you enjoyed this tale, please support our channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Kindness True Stories for more inspiring narratives.